Abby, and welcome to the first pre-video of Marky Plays Wargames. You're going to see what I've got here for the Plague and the Asterians. I was trying to invoke Protocol 13 for this game, which means that we get 130 points each, but we both have to get 13 victory points instead of 10, or wipe each other out. Now, there's a slight problem that I've realised in I can easily do 130 points of Asterians, but the Plague that I have with me is only 92 points, not counting Akisiak. I wasn't counting Nemrath as part of the points, so you know, the mercenaries were going to be on the top. So let's just go through what I have for the Plague. Now, you could probably see some of the models here. To begin with, we've got our favourite beastie, the Plague Stage 1A. Now, he is going to be a complete git to try and take out. I know my guys that have ranged weapons have AP1 anyway, but he's got armor 1 and he's got really tough, so he's essentially ignoring 3 points of damage each shot or each turn. So he's going to be a bit of a git. Let's see how that works when we do it. You'll also be pleased to know that I have, if I can pick them up without spilling them, all 3 Stage 2As as well. Now, they're not going to be as much of a pain in the butt as the 1As, but they're going to cause some trouble. They've got Rampage, and you know, they're tough and brawler, which gives them a hell of a lot of benefit in combat, which is what they're going to do. We've also now got all 3 Stage 3As. They've got 6 cube range rifles. They also have the fast rule as well, so they can get into combat very quickly, and they've also got an armor of 1. So they might be quite problematic as well. We've got a heavy machine gun, which, as we know from the games that we've played before, is very, very good at laying down suppressive fire, and yeah, he's gonna be an issue. We'll come on to why he's gonna be an issue in a bit. We've got the Plague 3A general character. He's just got a rifle, but he has a tactician rule, so it gives more command dice to the Plague. We've got a couple of favourites, the 2 little doggies. They're fast and they're just annoying. And then we've got the wild card, Akisiak, the mercenary. I don't quite know how she's gonna play out in this. She only has a combat weapon, as you can see, is that huge glaive, that she's holding. It's got an AP2 on it and knockback, so we'll see what happens with her, as she hasn't got any ranged weapons, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to go into detail about the Asterians that I have, and quite possibly what I'm going to remove in just a moment, so I'll speak to you in a bit. Hi, it's the second part of the pre-game, pre-video, pre-whatever about this Plague versus Asterian game, and I'm now going to go into the Asterian force. Now we're going to start off with Mercenary, Nimrath. I was originally going to use him as a commander because I didn't like the commander model. But I am actually using him now in his full capacity as a mercenary. So he's got a few combat weapons. Hasn't really got any ranged weapons aside from a pistol. So possibly going to be using him to try and combat a Kissiak or the General. Aside from that, I don't know if he's going to do an awful lot, but you know, we'll see what happens when we get there. Now the next thing I'm going to talk about is we've got a weapon drone, which is here. I haven't affixed the gun on so that I can use different types, but this particular one, it has a fission beam. Now it's a very, very long range weapon. It can set things on fire, and you know, it's going to be good for long range support, which is something that my ciphers need. Now on the subject of ciphers, the usual loadout of them, which you'll be able to see here, they come with what are called no rifles. I don't know why they're called that, NOH, but they're as a standard AP1. They've only got a range 5, which may be a bit problematic because most other ranged weapons in the game are range 6, the standard ones. But I've got 3 of these, so they should be able to provide some fire support. Now when it comes to combat support, we have I like these models because they just look like they're dancing. We've got some ciphers with charge gloves. Now this one, he looks like he's in the middle of a some kind of dance routine, as is this one. Got a bit of jazz hands going on, and this one is just going, stop, thank you very much, but we won't go into the Spice Girls sort of thing. Now their combat weapons have knockback, so if you don't kill anything, you can knock them back a square, which I don't know if that's a good thing or not, because then the enemy can charge in and bonuses in combat. But the combat ciphers have an energy shield, so aside from their AP, their armor of 2, they also have an energy shield, which the ranged ciphers don't have. So you know, they could be quite useful in combat. Now, speaking of combat, we have the Cypher Prime, which is a bit of a combat monster, to be honest with you. It does have an armor of 2 to begin with, and it's got its light blade, which is that sword it's holding, which is an AP2 combat weapon, but it also has an energy shield of 4, so it's absorbing a fair bit of damage. Along with the rest of the ciphers, which I'll go into in a moment, it does have its weaknesses, but we'll, like I say, we'll go into that in a moment. Now, an interesting troop type, which I have 2 of, are these bad boys, which are Black Talons. They're essentially elite ciphers, and they have jump packs and they can glide, and they've got a no rifle and an energy shield, but they're a lot more maneuverable, a lot more versatile. They can be, you know, flitting about all over the place and causing havoc to whatever. So, you know, I reckon they could be quite useful when it comes to just taking down random stuff. Now, the weaknesses that we have with the ciphers, so the ciphers with the rifles, the ciphers with the charge gloves, the Cipher Prime and the Black Talons, are the fact that they've not only got the construct rule, which means that they essentially don't get a buff or a debuff when it comes to aggression, but they also have the vulnerable rule, which means they don't have an extra point of damage to... They don't get injured, basically. If you get through their armour, they are gone. The combat ciphers, the Cipher Prime and the Black Talons can kind of get away with a bit more because of the energy shields, but the ciphers with the rifles are, if you shoot them and you get through their armour, they are gone. So, you know, I'm going to want to keep them a little bit more well protected to provide some fire support. Interesting thing with the ciphers, not the Black Talons, but the rifle ciphers, the combat ciphers and the Cipher Prime, is they have the toxic smokescreen rule, which means once per turn they can essentially let off a smoke grenade in the cube that they're in, but it counts as being toxic, which is a very interesting rule. I don't quite know how useful that's going to be in the long run. I think I've still got to play a few more games with it, but you know, we'll see what happens. The only problem I have with this force is it comes to 130 points, which, if you looked at my previous video, if I'm going against a plague, that's only 92 points, so I'm going to have to remove a fair bit of this. I may get rid of a Black Talon and a couple of combat ciphers. I definitely want to keep the long range support on the rifles, and also the Cipher Prime, because I do want some combat support. Nemrath, like a Kissiak with the plague, is I'm just using them on top of the points. A Kissiak's more points than Nemrath anyway, but they are both sort of combat. They don't have any ranged weaponry, so you know, I don't reckon that they're going to tip the balance much. I could have gone with Nastanza instead of Nemrath, but I figured, you know, we'll go with Nemrath first to see what he does. So I'm going to do a proper bat rep when I get to do the game. I'll let you know what the actual forces are, but until then, well, that's the Asterians. and I hope to see you for the next video, which is going to be the bat rep. So I'll see you then. Toodles. Hi there, I'm back again. I'm here with my third part of this video, this pre-game video, and this time I'm going to look at the scenery and terrain that you can make with Deadzone. Well, I'm not going to record me assembling it because that would just take too long. However, I'm going to show you some bits and pieces that you can get. Now, Deadzone uses the modular battle zones terrain that Mantic provides, and in the box, in the Deadzone box, you get all manner of bits and pieces. This I've got an expansion which has a load more ruins in it, but you get your sort of floor panels and some sort of ruiny bits, and a load more walls and some sort of half platform barricade bits and pieces. So I'm going to be making a load of terrain out of this, and I'll see you in a bit when I've done it. See you later. Hi, well, I'm back after a bit of deliberation and some trial and error with the connectors. We've got some terrain. Now, the most basic bit that I've put together is just a little barricade with a buttress support. I've got a sort of, I don't know, watchtower maybe that I've made. It's a bit of a ruined wall with a lamppost attached to it. Now we've got some, these come as standard anyway, just little piles of rubble. And then some more of the complex builds. We've got a bit of a corner post off of a building with a lamppost. Bit ruined there, as you can see. It's had a bit of an explosion in the top. We've got here, don't know what this was, multi-level building of some description. It's a complete wreck. That would be quite awesome. And the same with this one. This was at some point something, and now it's just, you know, a shade of its former glory. So, you know, these ones that I've got here, you know, we could probably sort of put together like that maybe. I don't know, you know. I was using a bit of a template off the Mantic website, manticgames.com, using the picture that they've got there for their sci-fi ruined outpost, which is essentially part of what I've got here, the ruined bits. I just tried to make a few bits of what they had there. So yeah, I think I've got a bit of a scenery that I can put about on the board, and you know, it should stop gunfire from going straight over the board. But yeah, now unfortunately I'm not going to be able to do the game tonight, but you've seen the forces. I've got the terrain built, so I'm all set to do it tomorrow. So hopefully I'll have a bat rep for you tomorrow. So I'll see you then. Toodles.